everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Magic. I'm not that Matterhorn Matt. Welcome. Got a lot to talk about today because first of all, it's been a while, and I want to kind of talk about all the things that I've been going through in these past few weeks. I finally finished my pin board, and hello there. And of course, I didn't bring it over here, but I've got one pin board actually finished and all grouped together. We're going to talk about fireworks and how the nighttime spectaculars are really coming together. And they're going to be on shortly, a couple weeks at both Disney World and Disneyland. I got a couple more face masks, I know, but couldn't resist this one. It was this one. I think it was only like $3 for the masks. We're on Shop Disney right now, which honestly, I think these are going to be a relic of 2020, but at the same time, I'm holding it upside down first of all. Some of these designs were actually really cute. And you know what? It might not be a bad idea to wear them if you have a cold or something. Just help not spread germs and all that stuff. So here's what it is. Like I said, got lots of things to talk about. But first, you know what? Let's start with something fun. Let's start with the pin board. I'll be right back in 1 second. You can probably still hear me as I'm grabbing my big giant pin board from the side here. And it is all complete. There are a few spaces still left. You can see the shine from the lights that I have there. But it's all filled up. Some of these I got from my trip. Actually, I'm going to lower the camera for just a little bit. Some of these I got from my trip. Some of these I actually got from the Disney store. This limited edition pin right here, Fantasia pin, I actually got on sale at the Disney store outlet in Aurora, Illinois. Sometimes if you go to the outlets, you can really find some hidden gems. And this limited edition 80th anniversary Fantasia pin, my brother got a Chernobog one that actually has some moving parts. Wasn't full price, as you can see, some of the price tag is still on there. Wasn't out full price, it was about $4 off. Where there's another pin on here. I got also from Aurora, this pass holder glow in the dark pin. I saw this actually on a couple streams with a couple pass holders getting this pin, but not enough pass holders bought this glow in the dark Haunted Mansion pin. So they moved it to the outlet store, and you don't need to be a pass holder. If it's in the outlet store, you don't need to be a pass holder in order to get this pin. It was pretty cool. This is from my trip. I think I will show this on stream beforehand. Also got this Fantasia pin, but I believe this is off Shop Disney. The 55th anniversary It's a Small World pin, right there. You can see it right there. Now it's 55 years that it's been Disney parks. It's not the 55th anniversary of It's a Small World. It is the 55th anniversary that it's been in Disney parks, because It's a Small World was created for the New York World's Fair, which, by the way, wasn't an official World's Fair. Not counted in the official World's Fairs. It was something where United States decided to go on their own, and it wasn't approved. They still had it anyway. What else? I believe there's one more pin. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I know. I've got some Jared Maruyama pins. Hope I pronounce his name correct. They're all kind of grouped in the same area. So they are the Tartare, Bellhop. You've got Scuttle, and my brother actually got this one. It's like 2 come in pack. These were my 2. He actually got 2 of the White Rabbit in the teacup. He actually got Orange Bird and Figment as well. Jealous of him. So hopefully if those pins do return to Shop Disney, which they did once, and I didn't grab the chance, try once more for a Figment. I know since then they've come to the Disney parks, Disney World. I saw them. Try and take a look. Again, I grouped them. A lot of these are limited edition pins. Some of these are pins from the resorts. Not all of my resort pins actually made it onto this board. The only one that actually did, or I believe the Disneyland Hotel is on here, and All-Star Resorts are on here. The rest are on the other pin board, which honestly I still might want to rearrange some stuff and put those pins on one exact pin board. Excuse me. The other thing is I have 2 ink and paint Auroras that one I might trade. I've got all my origami pins in similar areas, and then I got my rainbow pins. Rainbow collection, pride pins, all in the bottom corner right over there. But it's all complete for the most part. This one came with a TV set, the TV pins. This one, and where's the home one right there? So I could have grouped over here, but there's not enough room with the way this was on here way before I started putting the rainbow pins on there. So I do have a little bit of a collection here. That's not all of them. I've shown off time and time, or a few times my Minnie's Main Attraction pins. Also, I don't have any Stitch Crashes Disney pins, although some of them, it didn't start out really well with those with some of them, like the whole Lady and the Tramp, Little Mermaid looked good. Pinocchio one kind of looks a little bit weird. Definitely not as good, I think, as the Minnie Main Attraction pins. I think what makes them popular is like, okay, it has to do with the parks. And a lot of pin traders are looking for pins that deal with either some sort of celebration or some sort of things with the parks. I like pins that are hotel pins. I like pins that have the attractions in them. So you saw the Space Mountain one there. I do have a booster set. I can't remember where I put the booster set now. Did I already put it on the board? On one of the boards? I don't think so. I'll have to find it. But I like stuff that has to do with attractions. So I think Minnie is a very popular character. Not that Stitch isn't, but I think people wanted to pair, or were looking for attractions and Disney characters. Those pins are really becoming increasingly rare, and they're just focusing on the characters, which that's Disney World in a nutshell, to be honest with you. They're focusing more on the characters. All right, next thing, 50th anniversary stuff. In terms of decorations at the castle, they've installed pretty much everything that they're going to install before, or they need to install before the castle or the 50th anniversary celebration begins. They're not going to put the big giant 50 on there until we get closer to October 1st. That's the only thing that's really missing from the castle. Now, will there be decorations down Main Street? Remains to be seen. most of the points of light look to be installed along the surface of spaceship Earth, which that's awesome. That'll be very cool to see once they launch that. Tree of Life again is supposed to be getting like a special awakenings for it, and then they're finally using the projection system on Tower of Terror for something other than Christmas, for its transformation at night. Which again, Tower of Terror is supposed to be a very scary attraction, but the projections are going to make it look less scary, more or less scary. If that makes more sense, or just less scary in general. That's probably a better way to put it. But yeah, so I'm sure things are coming along. The fact that fireworks are going to return. There's going to be fireworks on October 1st of 2021 at the Magic Kingdom, happily ever after. Hopefully, there is rumors that there are going to be a special 50th anniversary fireworks and projection show. I think it was called Project Nugget. Could that still be on the table? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. My guess is that project probably got scrapped. Harmonious is still a go, but Epcot Forever will be the premiere show in July 1st. On July 1st, modified. They won't have any of like the physical performers, the kites, because of all the construction that's going on in the lagoon. It's not safe for them anymore to do the kites. For what I'm hearing. Excuse me, need some coffee here. So that's a little bit disappointing because that was I thought was one of the good parts of the show, is especially the fire kites. The second time the kites were out there, but they've been plagued with so many technical difficulties that I think it's been wise for Disney not to continue it, and when it relaunches this July 1st. So things are starting to get really, really back to normal. It amazed me how quickly things are getting back to normal in Disney World, and how quickly things are in Disneyland, because Disneyland just this past week opened to out-of-state visitors. Fully vaccinated guests do not need these face coverings anymore. They do not. Although CDC guidelines say if you're unvaccinated, you should still be wearing a mask, which I'm going to deviate a little bit from Disney just for a second, because without going too much detail about my about things that personal life, I've known a lot of people that rely on others being healthy. Let's just say it. So if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. It's safe. It's effective. There are some people that are like afraid that we're being guinea pigs. I mean, first, that's basically what the trials are there for, and the trials are basically not that the vaccine has shown that it's work. Are there any side effects? It's more of like that whole thing about that, or it's just like it's not fully approved. It's only conditionally approved by the FDA. It's for emergency use. It's not fully approved. Well, I think it was a TikTok that I saw. Now on that TikTok, they talked about that once it gets that conditional approval or that emergency use, that full approval, all that's really left is how they can market the vaccine, how they can sell it and advertise it, like little red tape stuff. It's not that the vaccine isn't safe. They've proven that it's safe. Now it's the fact that how can they advertise it to the public? That's what they're that's what full approval in terms of the vaccines really mean. Again, this is from a TikTok. I'm by no means a doctor or anything. You should listen, always listen to the medical professionals for advice. But get a vaccine if you can. There are truly some people that can't get vaccinated for whatever reason. So if you're unvaccinated, then wear a mask. Or if you can get vaccinated, because you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting the people that are around you. And you're basically putting your country, your area at risk of falling back into a dire situation if you don't get vaccinated. Stepping off my soapbox, will be the last thing I'll talk about that. But it is Pride Month, and Disney's been selling Pride merchandise, so awkward transition, but whatever. Some of the pins I actually had on there. The Stitch pin is from this year's Rainbow collection. I think that's the only pin thus far that I have from this year's Rainbow collection. The limited edition Rainbow one that they actually had the characters, the old-timey characters, wasn't really my favorite. They have some new, more inclusive pins, like an intersectional flag pin, which, so it's basically the Pride Rainbow colors. They added black, brown, or black and shades of brown to it to promote more diversity and inclusiveness. I believe there's also a transgender Mickey pin that they've released for the first time ever this year. I believe there's also a lesbian and bisexual flag pins as well, different colors. Well, just to be more broad, more inclusive, and I think it's great. I think it's a great thing. In fact, it's on. I know for a fact you can probably find these on Shop Disney, and they have a little Pride section there. Hopefully, some of those pins are not just for the month of June, and they extend beyond June into July, year round. It'd be nice to see some maybe use May and June as launching for some of their Pride collection, like this coffee mug, which it has coffee in it. I can't really show you the inside, but it's rainbows on the outside. You can probably see a little bit, see some of the coffee as well, but it has Mickey Mouse, in the 6 colors of the original Pride flag on there. This mug, by the way, it's a great mug. It's a great design. I love the design. I ordered it off Shop Disney because I couldn't wait for it to come to the Disney store, which these mugs, by the way, are available in the Disney store, your local Disney store. There's one a couple blocks down from me. I kind of checked a couple times. I was actually in the store. I need. Oops, I spilled a little bit. I need this mug. I need this mug. And based on what the description on Shop Disney says, it says this is a 14-ounce mug. I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably about 12 ounces filled to the top, meaning you put the 12-ounce thing on your Keurig or whatever, your whatever coffee maker you have, it's going to fill it to the top, and then you're kind of sipping just a little bit before you move it. So you might have spillage. It comfortably fits about 8 to 10 ounces. 8 ounces it actually left enough room. So 10 ounces. This is more of a 10 ounces comfortably. 12 ounces if you don't mind a little bit of spillage. These are not 14 ounces. Usually, um, it it looked a lot bigger on Shop Disney. Um, if you go into the Disney store, then you can actually really grasp the size because um, some like the Starbucks mugs are pretty much the same like circumference, but the Starbucks mugs go straight down, so they hold a little bit more liquid. Um, because they curve in, it looks more like a traditional like saucer style cup. They need like a saucer for this. I don't know why they didn't do that, but I found that one too. But it's good for like a nice small cup of coffee, maybe a little bit of hot chocolate. It's a good. I think it would also be good for a tea. Um, but they have a lot of good shirts. I would say this year the Pride collection. I think they've gone a high gear because it's not just Disney, it's Marvel, it's Star Wars, it's Pixar. Um, one of the new there's a Star Wars rainbow pin with all the like some of the famous icons from the movies, and they're all like 6 different icons, 6 different colors. Excuse me. Um, the Pixar ball has now has now been rainbowified. Marvel has a rainbow logo, and it's expanded not only to Disney, but Target had a rainbow collection T-shirt with Mickey that I do have. It's a little bit tighter. It's more like an athletic fit. I'll tell you that. So if you're used to like a large for that, for like the Target rainbow collection T-shirt, which it's in the wash right now, or else I would show it. I would go up to an extra large. If you're an extra large, I go to double XL. And that's the highest you can go is double XL. So if you are normally a double XL, it's a little bit tight. If you like tighter fitting clothing, that's fine. If you want to get the shirt because you just like the shirt, then you make night shirt, that's fine too. But just know it's a little bit more. I wouldn't say true to fit. It's a little bit more tighter. It's a little bit more shorter. If you're a tall person, it might create some problems as well as it might not be the length that you want it. But they had actual rainbow collection tagged items at Target. Also, I know Box Lunch has some rainbow collection pins. I know the Stitch pin is actually one of them, but I think Stitch is in a different pose. Maybe I have to check Box Lunch again, but it's not like in the past. Sometimes the rainbow collection stuff has been park exclusives, or stuff designed to be sold in the parks. But now this is really part of a broader effort, which I am really, really enjoying. We also have some sad news to report, but this is kind of not. I'm not really 100% surprised because this is part of Disney's bigger strategy of moving from physical stores to the online. As I would have some relatives around here that would say the online. The first ever Disney store, which opened up only in the late 80s. There are only a couple, which I thought they were around for a little bit longer. I think it was like 87. The first one opened up in Glendale, California at the Glendale Galleria. And according to multiple posts I've seen online, the Glendale Galleria original Disney store location is closing forever. It'll close on or before, I believe, July 16th. So if you're in California, or if you're just going to visit Southern California, you have a limited amount of time to visit the Glendale Galleria Disney store before it closes for good. Again, I do have to say that a lot of this stuff on Shop Disney, like the mugs, the pins, everything that I've seen in the physical Disney store is on Shop Disney. I'm not surprised that that it's closing, and I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if I heard more stores are actually going to be closing because of it, which is sad because reading about how some other people are lamenting this, it's sad because it used to be an experience. You walked in. I'm just physically remembering the 90s experience where the mall that was actually closest to where we lived growing up did not have a Disney store. And it was very disappointing for me and my brother because you're like, okay, we're going to the mall. Which one are we going to? The good mall or just kind of like the mall? And most of the time we're going to the mall. Again, I mentioned before, I've lived in I'm in the Chicago suburbs. And the mall that was actually closest to me had a Carson Perry Scott, Montgomery Ward, and J.C. Penney. If we needed, most of the time we would go there because those department stores pretty much sell generic or sell clothing. And it's just like, do you like their prices better? Do you like this department store's prices better? Although a lot of times the brands were sometimes the same for things. But there's every once in a while, we would need to go to then Marshall Fields. And because Marshall Fields had something that this mall or the stores at this mall did not have. Or Sears. Sears was not at this particular mall. If we need to go to Sears for whatever reason, we would have to go to the good mall. And so, especially if my mom wanted to give some Frango mints. Frango mints are famous candy that Marshall Fields was famous for, and the Macy's still sells them, but it's not a Chicago original. I'll give you that, but really, they gain traction a lot here in Chicago and Pacific Northwest. I think the story behind it, if we're going sidetracking here, is that Marshall Fields bought the recipe for Frango mints from Pacific Northwest company, changed the recipe just a little bit, and that's how the Chicago Frango mint really came to be. There's Frango mints sold in the Pacific Northwest. They're a different flavor. They have a different taste through a different department store. I think that's how I remember it. I'm not 100% well versed on that story, but that's kind of like the gist of it. But anyway, the good mall, going back on track here, the good mall had Sears, Marshall Fields, and J.C. Penney as well. And then there was an addition with like Nordstrom's and Lord & Taylor. Those were like the 5 big department stores for this one mall. But this mall in particular had the Disney store. And I just remember walking in with all like the film strip displays with like the scenes from different Disney films. Peter Pan, I think Jack the Beanstalk was one of them. Sorcerer Mickey at Fantasia was another one. Just walking in and seeing all the different displays and like, I'm going to call it animatronics, but figures. Just walking in and they have that big screen in the background playing clips from Disney movies. And just being amazed at not really looking at the merchandise, but looking at all the Disney characters. I think we rarely bought anything from the Disney store. We just walked in to kind of take a look at Goofy and Pluto and all that stuff. Maybe once in a while we would do a little bit of shopping, but for the most part, it's just kind of looking at all the different characters that were there. Now it's a much different thing. You walk in and it's clearly set up just like a generic store. This Disney store in particular actually moved. It's in the same area of the mall, but just they moved from one space basically to another space, kind of kitty corner across the way. It's a little bit smaller. And it looks more modern, but it definitely doesn't feel the same. I mean, I remember there was one time my parents actually took us to the Disney store, and at that time, they had a little travel section where you can buy Disney World tickets. Maybe also for Disneyland, but at that point, we were just traveling to Florida for the most part, and stick around the east of the Mississippi River for our vacations. So we would actually get our tickets and book our tickets. Maybe you could even book your hotel room. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment below if you could book your hotel room from a Disney store. Yeah, I know you definitely you could book tickets. We got that all done for our first ever stay. We sat there, we were listening, we were all excited. It was a fun store and much different than it was today. Now, if you watched I think Rob Plays was his former channel. I think it's Midway to Main Street is his new channel. One of his ones talks about Woodfield Mall, this is the Disney store I'm talking about, how it had the second Disney fast food foray. They had a Disney store on one side and actually a fast food restaurant on the other. How it lasted a few years and ultimately decided not to go with that concept. But it's a sad era to see all these stores closing, because at least for people of my generation, that's when we really grew up. And it's okay, we want a trip to the mall. We have all these boring department stores. The Disney store was really for us. Although, again, kids' tastes are changing, and they might not have that exact same experience. And you know what? It really isn't the same experience. But at the same time, it was just fun and cool. So there is that. That's kind of sad news to talk about. But as we progress to Disney World's 50th anniversary, I've been kind of posting pictures from my past couple trips, my past 3 trips, using the hashtag years to 50 years. And I'm going to continue to use that hashtag because I think as we go up to October 1st, 50th anniversary, I'm definitely going to have to make one more trip to Disney World. At least one trip during the 50th anniversary. I have some of the castle decorations. I've been kind of saving some of those pics as we get closer to the 50th anniversary, because I don't think there's any chance of me going to Disney World in October, unfortunately. And especially with the current state of the parks. Going back to that a little bit with park passes and reservations and fast passes. All these different things that are in flux or are going to stay. Here's my 2 cents. And I've done an Instagram live about this, but I want to reiterate kind of my feelings of what's going on here, because there are some things that I'm happy about. There are some things that I'm angry about. And some things where I think it's not, in my personal opinion, I feel are not going to work. So let's talk about the big thing that people are not really happy about, especially if you're a local at either park, either coast. And it's the fact that you need a park pass reservation. Honestly, getting into the parks has never, like pre-pandemic, was never an issue unless it was a holiday. Unless it was, let's say, maybe Halloween, sometimes, but Christmas Day, New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve, the holiday season, 4th of July, were really the key, maybe even Easter. Those were the key times of the year where you had to be there early. You might not get into the parks. During the summer, during some peak times, which really there are not peak times have gone out the window. It's just Disney time. It really has just been Disney time. They have these park passes. They're using them to control the amount of people that are in their parks. So I don't think there will be at least for the next year or so, a day when the parks are at capacity. Because if you're talking about physically the number of people that can be in the park, a lot of people can be in that park. But the number one guest complaint is the parks are crowded. Lines are too long. And this is something to help control the crowds. And it's not just a Florida complaint. It is a California complaint as well, where people have been complaining that the parks are crowded. Disneyland's a very small park, and the lines are too long. Now, I've been to Disneyland, let's say maybe not in October and November. So I wouldn't say, but one was a Monday. Another one of those days was the first day of all the Christmas stuff. So that was a pretty jam-packed day, I would have to say. But the ride wait times were rarely were they over an hour or two. 60 minutes was kind of the tail end of it. Exception probably being maybe the Incredicoaster or Radiator Springs Racers. Those rides at California Adventure tend to have a longer wait time a little bit, but the stuff in Disneyland, my relatives complained that 45 minutes was a long wait. Whereas if you go to Disney World and you go 45 minutes, like, okay, 45 minutes, doable. Like there are rides that are worse than 45 minutes. Sometimes they could be 3 hours, 4 hours for some of the more popular attractions. And it's for whatever reason. I won't go too much because I'll go off on another tangent that way. But it's a way to control the amount of people in there and try to create that guest experience, a more positive guest experience, which in Florida, I'll tell you right now, by requiring a park pass reservation, it would help, I would say, but from a local standpoint, if you live in Central Florida, it's like, okay, if I want to go, first, right now, they're not selling annual passes in Florida. I think annual passes will go away in Florida. I definitely do see that going away. They've stopped selling them in California. They stopped selling in Paris. So those are Paris and California, the two other resorts that Disney controls 100%. And they're not doing annual passes anymore, or they've stopped selling them. So I think they're going to be on the chopping block in Florida. Just this is my gut feeling. Because they want to be able to control capacity, and they're going to try this loyalty program out in Disneyland where if you're a more frequent visitor, I'm getting this vibe that's going to be a punch card. You visit 6 times, you get your 7th for free, or you get a free cup of coffee, or it's like perks inside the parks. The fact that they're calling it a loyalty program means that you're going to have to buy regular tickets, and I think that was the main issue on Disneyland, is that the locals were using it, hopping in the parks. Maybe after 4. And they weren't spending full days or crowding and maybe going on one ride or two. It was really, from a business standpoint, it was hurting their bottom line. And for the people that were maybe tourists there, or maybe not annual pass holders, the fact that Disneyland was not was too crowded, they couldn't do everything in one day or 2 days, really upset some people. So again, the park pass reservation system is not going to go away. Although, again, going back to this TikTok, and I think it was a BuzzFeed article that cited this TikTok. I'm sure some of you guys have seen it as well. The people lining up on Harbor Boulevard, like physically on Los Angeles street. Los Angeles area street. Anaheim is not Los Angeles. But the Southern California, I would not be like, as the TikTok said, like that's a death wish to like be on the street. I mean, there are some places where I would feel a little bit comfortable walking on the side of the road. Some places even around here. Southern California, no, that's for sure. That is definitely for sure. I would not want to, walk on the street, line up on the street. That was a very dangerous thing. Thankfully, no one got hurt from any sort of car accident. People were being careful because they saw this. From what I understand, the second day went away, but part of it was just people like, oh, out-of-state visitors can visit. There was a rumor, this could have been just a rumor, that, oh, you don't need the park pass anymore. So people are like, okay, I'm going to show up. Everything's back to full 100% capacity. That's not the case. And I have a feeling right now, if there was no park passes in Florida, they're not at 100% right now at Florida. I can tell you that, staffing-wise. And I think Josh D'Amaro, in his interview with, I believe it was the LA Times, said that there's still about 15,000 or so employees, or they have only 15,000 of the normal 32,000 employees actually working. Some of that is probably due with capacity, but like the hotels and the food and beverage areas. Not all of them are open just yet, but they still need half their cast to come back. And that's just a trend across the country. So if everything was open, just no park passes, 100% capacity, you would see long lines. You would for tickets, long lines for merchandise. Not all the attractions are even open. So Jungle Cruise will be opening next month in California. It's currently is open in Florida. We'll talk about that in a second. They're refurbishing it to the new Jungle Cruise, which again, I'll talk about that in a second. Matterhorn, they're doing some structural work on there. So hopefully it will be open early July, hopefully by the end of July, because I will be going to Disneyland in Southern California, visit relatives out there. So Matterhorn's still not open yet. The Storybook Land Canal boats have been tested, are in the process of being tested to increase capacity a little bit. So those boats hopefully will be open soon. Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, I think it's either they're open now or just open, will open a couple days. That is the basically, if you're only an East Coaster, it's Space Ranger spin, but except that the targets, there's different shaped targets. and those shapes correspond to points, whereas the Florida ones, the targets all look the same, but depending on like the difficulty of where they're placed. Are they on a moving robot hand? Are they far away? Are they small? Like the size and distance and the difficulty of the targets, even though all the targets look the same, they're not all the same points. So at Disneyland, the targets definitely match. So like there's circle ones, I think are the easiest, and there's like square. You have like square ones. I don't know, I'm trying to pull up different shapes. Yeah, triangle ones. I forget. I think those are the three different shapes. Maybe there's a pentagon type shape as well. But the walls of the attraction kind of clue you in. Oh, there's different ones, and like from left to right, it's from lowest score to highest scoring. Not all the targets work, so they were actually doing that to rehab the ride. So it's actually to opening day, show ready type stuff. And plus, most of the queue was indoors. So I think they're kind of using that time. Okay, we'll refurbish it. We'll wait till everything goes back to 100%, and then we'll open it up because we have no place to put the people. So the park hours are definitely not back to pre-pandemic park hours. I don't know if they ever will be on the east or on the west coast. 8 a.m. to midnight. I think those days are long gone. Although things are just slowly but surely opening up back up. More restaurant offerings, more shops. Oga's Cantina just reopened. All those things are going to bear into how the park handles increases in capacity in park passes. And so I think as they start hiring, Disney World's over bring back the college program on the East Coast. And as things start to get back to normal, more normal, they'll need more CMs. So some of those, I expect, like, it kind of shocked me that only half the positions are, less than half the positions are filled. But again, thinking about, okay, what's currently open, what's currently not open. Disneyland Hotel is not open at this time. Paradise Pier Hotel is not open at this time. Or they just opened. I forget. Again, I'm not 100% on the details about when things are open. I think Disneyland Hotel is not open right now. Paradise Pier maybe just opened, but limited capacity. So they don't need as many housekeepers right now. They don't need as many chefs at the restaurants. And so they're slowly ramping up capacity. First offering the jobs to workers that needed to, or that were laid off, and then slowly bringing them back, going down the seniority list. I think that's how it works. And so they're at a point in Florida, at least, where they've offered I wouldn't say everybody, but they offered a lot of people their jobs back. And people are slowly but surely are going back in and working at Disney. Some of them have declined. And those people that have declined, they're opening up positions for new hires. So it's always good to see that Disney World's hiring new hires as well. There's still some other programs like the international program that basically staffs the pavilions at Epcot. Those workers still need to come back, but I think we're a little bit away from that. But I know I'm rambling here, but my point is that the park passes, I had a feeling the park passes, even when they announced it, first of all, it was really quickly that they were able to develop the software and technology to get these park passes in motion. And the fact that, yeah, there was a few hiccups, but it was relatively smooth. Smoother than I thought it would be, which kind of told me one thing as I take another sip of my coffee here. What I gathered was Disney was already playing around with this reservation system. And that they were maybe holding off on this, try to find like the right time to implement it, and maybe do it in smaller phases. But it was going to be a hard pill to swallow because people, especially Americans, like that whole freedom of movement. Meaning, like, if I want to go to Disneyland today, or if I want to go to Disney World today, I can just show up, and as long as they're not at capacity, I can day off and just say, buy a ticket, go in. Same thing with like a museum. You don't need to book your museum reservation and go. They had or like Six Flags or whatever, or go to the grocery store. It's like, oh, I want to go to the grocery store today. Oh, go on to groceries.rs.com or whatever you're going, and just say, oh, I'm going to Jewel, or I'm going to Kroger or Publix or Winn-Dixie or whatever your local grocery store is, and having to reserve a time slot to go into the grocery store. No, you go into the grocery store when you want to, as long as the operating hours, as long as they're open, right? In some grocery stores, like Walmart, some Walmarts and Targets are 24 hours. Mainly Walmart, I think, more than that 24-hour, but some are open really, really late. Or Walgreens, walk into a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or a CVS. It's the same thing. It's on-demand stuff. And then you don't have to control, like you're not being controlled, like, okay, you need a reservation. It's not like sitting down at a restaurant where you want to be guaranteed a seat at a certain time, you get a reservation. Then you still have walk-ups saying, do you have any space? For certain establishments. I don't think it loses some of its spontaneity. But I don't think I think pre-pandemic it would have been a hard sell. It may not have been popular, might not have worked. But the pandemic kind of helped Disney with some of the things that I wanted to get rid of. Free fast passes was one of the things. I think that paid fast pass system on the East Coast was coming. It was going to be a hard pill to swallow. Disney Genie, whenever that launches for Walt Disney World, that's when you're going to see that paid fast pass system. Hello, Wishes. Thank you for joining us. Am I for the reservations at the park, or am I against it? Yeah, I am definitely against it. And yes, paid fast passes. I have a feeling, if you've watched Braden from Mickey Views, he has one particular video about the Lightning Pass. $100 to $300 a day for these paid fast passes per person. And I just think I think Disney wants to price people out from a business standpoint. It's pricing people out. It's pricing the people that want to go. And so you're saving years and years up, and all of a sudden you're ready to get for vacation. Now you're hearing, oh, now you have to pay for these fast passes. You have to pay for this. You have to pay for your transportation to get there, or to get to Walt Disney World, instead of having the Magical Express take you there. I mean, that was the one perk, I think, besides getting that 60-day window for Fast Pass Plus. That was the only other perk besides being close to the magic, is having Disney pick you up, or Disney and Mears pick you up and take you to your hotel. It's included in the cost of the hotel. And then the bus takes you back. The Magical Express takes you back. I could definitely see that too. Maybe $25 to $30. I'm gonna tell you right now, Disneyland, their max pass was $15 per person per day. I believe that then I think it started off with maybe like $10 per person per day, and then they kept upping the price. Last time, I think it was maybe $20, $25 per day. So just like in the window that you're having right there per person per day. But you got access to fast passes on your phone, so like Disney World style. And then you also got photos with the Max Pass as well. All your ride photos and PhotoPass photos were included with that $15 per day, which if you're going for one day, $15, awesome. If you're going for a couple days, you know what? It starts to get maybe a little bit more pricier, but you could definitely do more stuff with the Max Pass than using the traditional paper Fast Pass at Disneyland. I can tell you that. It was nice having that option on our phones. And you could be in California Adventure and reserve a Fast Pass for Disneyland. So there was a lot more flexibility on that part with that. It's $100 or more. So depending on if it's going to be a very busy day, it's that whole sliding scale, which doesn't surprise me. And there are going to be people that are going to be willing to pay that no matter what. I think Boo Bash has already proven that, which that is a horrible, horrible product. It's like you're paying full Coca-Cola prices for that generic soda. Well, even so even the Boo Bash are outrageous. Like Halloween night was $200. And then even some like the earlier ones were like $130, $140. Which is outrageous. Which I can understand maybe a little bit of a price increase, maybe the $130, $140 for Halloween night. But when the prices for the average party in 2019 were about like $85 for it to almost over double in some circumstances, is horrible. Especially because consider what they're offering. They're doing cavalcades. That is what they're advertising, cavalcades, not parades, cavalcades. So there's no special parade. No special fireworks. Even though the fireworks are back, I think a lot of people were hoping, getting their Boo Bash tickets, like, oh, fireworks are going to be back. Disney has announced that they're emphasizing to the point that they're bringing back the regular fireworks back to the parks and getting that gone on a regular basis. They haven't changed the offerings so far for Boo Bash. But so there's no even 4th of July firework tags or 4th of July fireworks. But the fact that I think people are just like, oh, it's you get the trick or treat candy. Like you're paying for trick or treat candy, maybe some free snacks. I thought the Villains After Hours, like the stuff was high priced in general high priced for not even the offerings of a holiday party or a Christmas party or whatever. And the fact that people are just gobbling this stuff up and they're adding more dates, it just proves more that people will buy anything for Disney. As long as it has a Disney name, they think it's a quality product. And I'm hopefully if there's other people that watching that maybe are thinking, I might go to the booth, I would say don't do it. Like it is not that worth it. You're getting less stuff for double the price. I could understand keeping the price the same, maybe cutting some of the offerings. Maybe that to me is a little bit more understandable. I would still be a little bit upset. I think everyone saw that price hike coming, wishes everybody, but There's no stage shows. There's no, again, no fireworks. No character, like the meet and greets are going to be like those distance meet and greets. They're not going to be like you can take a picture hugging Cruella de Vil or whatever. Like it's ridiculous. But I think we're still in this part of it. Also makes me feel like we're still in this honeymoon period. We're still reopening. People still want to get out, go on vacation. So they don't really care about that. About, oh, this is extra, this is extra. They just want to go on vacation again. People want to be out with other people, enjoying and experiencing life, returning back to normal. I get that part. I think there's been some complacency, especially with people in the Disney community or wanting going to a Disney park for vacation. But I thought before the pandemic, we were kind of at a tipping point of just like, is this really for the rich or is this really for the people that really actually like Disney and are supporting Disney and the movies and the theme parks? Which is the same resort prices have been jacked up immensely. Also, it's a shame. Oh, you think about going October for the anniversary? Yeah, you know what, Mike? I can't go in October for various reasons. My brother is actually going to Universal in October. Thought about if there was doing a Halloween party, going to the Halloween party, but he saw the Boo Bash stuff. He's like, no, like we're staying at Universal Hotel, we're staying on property. And he's like, no, I've done a Christmas party. I personally done a Christmas party too. And just to kind of see what they're offering, I'd be like, not it, I'm out. And I agree. They know people will just go, oh, we're going to open up the Magic Kingdom. Like the whole extra magic hours are now gone. And they're doing the 30-minute magic mornings or whatever it's called. Like that all parks are going to be open 30 minutes beforehand for resort guests. Ooh, all right. Like, how is it really gonna work? Like, you're gonna keep people that don't have a park reservation outside. At some point, those people are just gonna stack up that are staying off property, or maybe they might open it up to good neighbor hotels. But then you're gonna have like people mass outside the park gates, or do you just allow everybody in? And just, okay, can I see your magic band or your phone? Tap this in. Okay, you can go in and ride the ride. Honestly, a half hour is pretty much going to be, is like maybe one or two rides. Like you get to Splash Mountain or you get to Space Mountain, and that's your ride. And then you're kind of running over. You get that one extra ride. It's not a benefit. Especially if you're a person like me. I really don't care about the extra half hour in the morning. I'll tell you, the only parks I've actually ever rope dropped are Hollywood Studios. And that was Hollywood Studios back in July. So we could do Rise of the Resistance. I've done the rope drop Magic Kingdom. I got there within the half hour that was open, so it wasn't really rope drop this past one. Epcot, I've rope dropped only because it opened at 11 o'clock. I haven't rope dropped Animal Kingdom or California Adventure. Or no, have I rope dropped California Adventure? I've been there when Disneyland at opening time for Disneyland. But I'm a person that rather would stay till the park closes. Have more energy for the end of the day rather than wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, have to be there when it opens, half tired, and then I'm like falling asleep on Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever, because we have to get that one last ride in at the end. Like, I want to save my energy so I at least have enough energy to get myself out of the park. I'm more of a night owl person in general. I like closing the park down. So those evening extra magic hours might be a headache to get non-resort guests out. But that was the benefit for me. When resort, again, as you mentioned, Wishes, before, resort prices have been jacked up to the point where it's just like, really? This is price for a value resort? From when I was there in not even last month anymore, 2 months ago, for 3 nights. I stayed 3 nights, but I was only 2 days in the parks. It's like $200 a night, almost $200 a night. For what? A bed, a generic food court that I used maybe once or twice. A giant pool, which was that the one close to me was actually closed off because of a cheerleading competition. So I really couldn't use the pool the pool that was closest to me. It was a nice room. I was close to the buses, so it was good. But other than that, like, the room was, I would say, about $100. I would say $100 way to be a good, like, whatever the going rate at the Comfort Inn is, or the Days Inn. That's basically what you're getting at All-Star movies. The fact that you're farthest away from most of the parks in terms of value resorts. I mean, Animal Kingdom Lodge is the farthest away from pretty much everything except for Animal Kingdom. And you only have bus transportation. Like, it's like, if you want to stay on Disney property, you just say check mark. I'd say stay at a value resort. It's a good option to save money. But there's no, at this point, staying off property or staying at even a good neighbor hotel might be a better value than staying at a value resort. There's no perks besides using the transportation system. No, I don't mind whatsoever, Wishes. This is actually, I like interacting with all of you guys. So the fact that you're kind of chatting along here, I really do appreciate it. So yeah, I'd say half hour is nothing. Honestly, I go for Disney entertainment and fireworks and shopping and taking the sights and sounds. Yeah, I agree with the fireworks. I'm more of a ride person. However, when my brother and I plan stuff, we plan it out very, very carefully. What we want to see, what we don't want to see. We usually, our family has always planned like Animal Kingdom as day one because it closes the earliest, right? It no longer has a nighttime offering. And even then, Rivers of Life was probably the weakest of all the nighttime offerings. I've seen it. It looks like a good show. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something where I'm like, I have to sit down every time I'm there and watch it. So it'd be like, we could get all the rides that we wanted to do done in pretty much a half a day. But when we move forward, and we're moving forward from there, we could take the bus to the Magic Kingdom, and then right when the park closes, maybe creep in on a spot on Main Street to find or watch the electrical parade when that was around, or and then stay tuned for the fireworks, because there's always maybe like a spot or two we could find and squeeze in at the last moment, or just stand behind. I mean, we're I come from a very tall family, so we don't need to be like on the curb. We could see it pretty well from a couple um, rows away. All right, have a wonderful day, Wishes. Thank you for watching. And it was a great discussion I had with you. And you noticed I added something to your name in the chat. So I definitely hope to see you again. I don't know personally when I'm going to, like, I don't have a set streaming schedule. It's when I find the time, basically. So, and when there's a lot of news to talk about, because I know sometimes I've come on like a regular weekly basis, and I'm like spewing out the same stuff. So there's definitely a lot of news. I saved my stream up for a perfect time. I think this was the perfect time to stream. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you have a great day too. Enjoy the weather today, although there's supposed to rain maybe a tad bit, but it's supposed to be like the best weather out of the 3 days around here. So thank you for tuning in. But going back to your comment, I'll finish up my thoughts on that. Is that people go to Disney for different things, and being able to have that park hopping flexibility goes back into the park hopping aspect of it, and like the value of going to Disney. There are people that go for the shows and the fireworks. And yeah, some of the shows are only available during the day. Some of the shows are only available at night. But they don't really kick off a lot of the shows until like the heart of the day. And that people want to watch the shows. And then once all the daytime shows and fireworks are over, you had that time afterwards to enjoy the rides with extra magic hours. That perk is going to be gone because extra magic hours, they don't make money. It's the Boo Bash, it's the after hours, it's the parties that make Disney extra money. And I think that's a big difference between, I would say, Eisner and before, and Iger and Chapek with the Bobs. The Bobs are really more business driven. How can we make more money? Not to say that wasn't the case for all the other CEOs beforehand, but the CEOs beforehand had a focus on the guest experience. Whereas with Bob Chapek, I don't know if he's about the guest experience or not. But he could fake it. If he is, he's really good at faking it. Some of the actions say he's more concerned about the money aspect, and we have all this IP. But watching the Imagineering story, it painted more of a rosy picture of Michael Eisner, although it was rocky towards the end. I'll admit that, but I think it was rocky towards the end because I think he was there for a while, and he lost his right-hand man. I think when Frank Wells died in the helicopter accident, it really affected Michael Eisner in a negative way. That partnership kind of was like the Walt and Roy partnership. Roy was kind of the business aspect, keeping Walt's ideas in check, where Frank Wells was Roy Disney, and Michael Eisner really had a Walt Disney type aspect. He wanted to put more IP in the parks, which that's fine, but he also knew that he needed to improve the guest experience and really make it more of a family park. Increasing some of the thrills. You saw a lot more roller coasters, more thrilling, scary rides like extraterrestrial alien encounter, because that's what his teenage son wanted to see. And he really wanted to add stuff for teens so that, okay, we got the adults coming in, we've got the kids, but then we have this gray area where we're losing these teens because they want the thrills. They want like roller coasters and drop rides and all that stuff. And so he was really keen on bringing in that teen demographic and make it more explaining what it means to be Disney and making it more of a park for everybody. And I think that was a complaint for something. I don't think Disney, everything's going to be nice, okay, for everybody. That's not the case. Like there are height restrictions. There are rides that are going to be scary and not appropriate for everybody. I mean, that's any theme park in general. But I think a good theme park, A, knows their audience. And they have enough rides that cater to their entire audience. But it's also good to have offerings for a specific target. I think having at least one scary ride in each park, Dinosaur, Tower of Terror, Mission Space, I think fills that Epcot void. Magic Kingdom's probably the tamest of them all, but Snow White's Scary Adventure was pretty scary. Haunted Mansion probably fills that scariness aspect in the Magic Kingdom. Space Mountain, maybe some of the roller coasters, but make it more like a family aspect. I think Michael Eisner really was good on that part of recognizing that it's the people. Like you have to, in order to make money, it's the people that you have to impress and deliver the quality product. I think at this point, we're at a point where it's just like, okay, Disney's proven itself to give us a quality product. And if you look at web slingers, I've seen web slingers. If you told me that was a Disney ride, I'd be like, okay, Spider-Man's owned by Disney. I would have thought it was more of like a Universal type thing with the web slinger ride. Like I didn't see any animatronics. It was all screens. It reminded me of Universal, and why I stayed away from Universal. I know kids nowadays are more happy with screens, but I want a physical ride. I want those audio animatronics. Not having even a Spider-Man animatronic in the physical ride, that upset me. It looked, honestly, there is a ride at a few Six Flags parks, like the Justice League ride. It reminded me of that, the Justice League ride. That's like the same quality even. Like the same quality type of ride is found at a Six Flags theme park. I think there are certain aspects where you definitely need the screen to immerse yourself in more into the story. But think of like Galaxy's Edge, even Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance. Awesome ride, one of my favorite rides. But it has a mix of animatronics and screens, which in some parts I was kind of disappointed. I'll admit there are some aspects where the screens are kind of but in other parts I'm like, okay, this really enhances. You can't really show all of this in real time just yet, like space battles and space battles basically. That can't be done in real time. It just can't. So seeing some of those stuff in some of the screens, I'm okay with. Or you can't fit like a animatronic and have the same range of motion. I get that part, but there's a difference between actually experiencing it in person and then watching a screen. And I feel like web slingers, I'm going to tell you right now, it's cool that you don't need like a little gun or whatever to actually shoot the webs or shoot whatever targets. You can actually just you're using your hands, and it recognizes that to shoot the webs, which I think that's a cool aspect. But it's no different. Like, I really compare, if you've ever ridden the Justice League rides at like either Great America or Six Flags St. Louis or Magic Mountain or Six Flags over Georgia or over Texas, they have tons of them across the country. It's basically Justice League without the guns. That's how I can compare it to. Or Midway Mania. Like, it's like Midway Mania and Web Slingers are, I think Midway Mania is meant for little kids. Web Slinger is meant for everyone else, pretty much. It's not 100% Disney quality. Although they have the stunt shows, they're bringing back shows and performances in the park. I like that aspect of it. You have the Tower of Terror. Well, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout now. That's a part of Avengers Campus. And that's supposedly that Quinjet ride where you go through Batuu, or not Batuu, excuse me, Wakanda. I'm crossing my IPs here. That I'll kind of wait, but it seems like, okay, the first ride to open is a game ride. Now going to Batuu, Millennium Falcon, yeah, you get to pilot the Millennium Falcon yourself. It's a game. You're delivering a package. I forget the guy's name now. You're delivering packages. You're collecting little like capsules, and trying not to crash the Millennium Falcon. And you get like a score. You could do Chewie mode, but it's a game. It's a game. Web Slingers. Again, Web Slingers, it's a game. It has that similar thing where you're staring at a screen and you're playing a video game in real life. And then the second ride that comes through, the e-ticket ride, that's the big immersive experience. But I'm curious, okay, if it's going to involve Wakanda and the Quinjets, is this going to be like a Star Tours similar type ride? That's my feeling. Because I don't know how else you're going to fly it. Like, if you're flying, that's pretty much what's going to be. Or is it going to be like something like Flight of Passage, where you're all on like little mini quote unquote Quinjets? Or each little cabin is a part of a Quinjet, and you're flying like that. Could it be like that? Which that would be really disappointing. Again, that remains to be seen. But I know I've talked a lot. And this is all stemming from my dislike about park passes. So I get distracted a little bit when people comment, but I like, you know what? I like it when you guys kind of steer me in one direction, and we actually get to talk about stuff through the chat. So I have the chat up. I'm reading the chat, and I love that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go back to, am I for or against the reservations? And then after talking for an hour and a half, I will go. I'm mostly against the reservations. I've said this before on previous streams, but it really bears to say this again. I'm against the reservation system 100. I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say for 90% of the time. Even with no face masks, and no, like the social distancing requirements being gone. All that stuff, I get it. Okay, people are ready to go back into the parks. However, the parks, I think Disney and how their phased approach has been, they're not ready to be at 100% capacity or normal operating capacity just yet. Again, it goes back to the staffing. It goes back to that not all the resorts are open. The Port Orleans French Quarter, Port Orleans Riverside, and All Star Music and All Star Movies, or excuse me, All Star Music, All Star Sports. Those are the 4 remaining hotels across all Disney US parks that don't have an opening date yet. Animal Kingdom Lodge is still closed, but that's going to open up in August. And a few other sections of Disney hotels, like non-DVC section of deluxe resorts, those ones are just going to come back into play as well, at a really short period of time. Although I would say, me seeing at movies back in April, they were it looked like they were refurbishing the All-Star music rooms, and All-Star Sports was soon to be done as well. So I think part of it is that they're waiting. They're doing major refurbishments. There was a lot of construction crews in sports and music a couple months ago. So I think major overhauls are being done with the 2 older all-star resorts, not opening them up and then closing them down for a refurbishment, or kind of letting the quality of the rooms kind of go by the wayside. Just get it all done at once in a quicker process than opening it up, getting those rooms back into a paid column rather than just kind of sitting there. I think that's some of these things have been the smarter move, like the Polynesian Resort, the non-DVC side, is opening this summer. They're refurbishing the rooms right now. The only rooms that right now are available for contemporary are the garden rooms for standard. It's the garden wing and the DVC wings are the only ones that are open right now. Using this time to really freshen up the rooms. Now, there's some of the things that I'm really happy about, and some of the things I'm not happy about. I'll save that for another time. It's about the details. And my brother actually brought up some really good comments about how he's not happy with that some of these things are being thrown up with a decal. But I will have to say though, for some of this, for some of like the fixtures in All-Star movies and some of the new things that they've added, kind of refreshed. I did like there were some things about All-Star movies that I liked about it now that I kind of wish were there when we actually stay there as a larger family. I'll go into that a different day though. But they're using it to kind of, again, save time, save money in terms of refurbishment process for hotel rooms. My guess is that's some of the reason why Port Orleans might be slow to open up again. But then there's also, at least for the Riverside, used to be the Dixie Landings side, there's some controversy, and it ties into why Splash Mountain is going to change. Way off topic, way off track here. Back on track. They don't have the employees, and they're quickly adding more employees as fast as they possibly can. But it's a struggle across the country. I'll be honest. But that being said, if it's just a general day like today, June 19th, the parks are not going to be swamped today, no matter what. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, we're pushing 100% capacity, the phase closures, all that stuff. Or like, let's say it's the middle of February or middle of April, or middle of May, middle of September. You don't need park passes for a general occasion to control crowds. I could see the one situation where park passes might be needed might be Easter week. Okay, we're projecting high crowds. We're going to institute park passes for Easter, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. Those are times where, those are like the days where you're kind of getting maybe up, nearing 100% capacity, nearing those phase closures, where they start shutting the parking lot. They start not admitting guests with certain stuff, blah, 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 blah. I could definitely see major holidays. But again, if it's just whatever day, July 31st, August 7th, making up random days of the calendar here, you don't need it. And the fact that now you have that park pass reservation and you have to link it up, it's just an extra hurdle. They're trying to keep as many people away as possible. So park passes are there to keep people away because, we have X amount of slots, but then they can use that saying, these slots are filling up fast, price hike. And so the people that are really hurt the most by this are the people that want to go. There was a survey that I saw online that said the people that tend to be the most loyal people going to Disney parks, the people that actually really, 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 really want to go, are the people that make under $75,000 per year. Those are looking at surveys, those are the people that most want to go to Disney parks. And that's Disney's base right there. Not to say that people making above $75,000 don't want to go, but they really want to spend their vacations, maybe not elsewhere. And the people want to go to Disney over and over again, can't afford it. That's a problem. That is an issue. They're not hitting their target demographic by pricing people out. Also, California and Florida are two different parks, are two different fan bases. Having park passes on the West Coast, and by all means, from what I understand, is that people that go to Disneyland, they don't go to Disneyland because they're planning for a vacation. They're there because they live in Los Angeles and like, it's a beautiful day. Let's go to Disneyland. That's why they go. So if not selling annual passes, doing this loyalty program, it's going to hurt Disneyland. Disneyland had, even for a time, had a drop in attendance for certain month to month comparisons. They were struggling to bring people in. And so they had to bring deals and stuff, partially because the daily tickets getting $150, $200 per day, almost, it's getting really expensive. So the annual household program was bringing people in. And so Californians are now saying, hey, Disney's too expensive. We can go to Universal. We can go to Six Flags and make those local parks. But annual passes, they're the backbone of Disneyland. That's their crowd right there. And so telling annual pass holders, or telling this crowd that you're going to have to make reservations, there's not going to be annual passes there anymore. There's this loyalty program. And it sounds like, again, you're going to have to pay full price for each time you come in. That's not going to bode well. I think it's going to hurt Disney, maybe not with the first year, in the next couple of years. Attendance is going to drop. Maybe that's okay. Maybe they just continue to raise prices. But if you raise prices and you have that attendance continues to drop, eventually there's going to be a point where it's not going to be just, okay, a healthy drop in attendance. They're going to lose fan bases to Universal. They've definitely stepped up their game with Harry Potter, although some of the rides are not quite up there to Disney quality. But it's a close thing so far. Then Super Nintendo World. Again, some of the things, it looks promising. Again, it looks to be a step up from what Universal's normally offers. And it's getting me excited to go to Universal and some things with no reservations. When you have that's kind of another thing. Universal's not doing reservations anymore. Six Flags, as soon as jurisdictions say you're at 100% capacity, they've been taking the reservation systems away. And I think for all these other second tier, I think it's Disney's in tier of its own, Universal's underneath, and then everybody else. For Universal and below quality theme parks, they don't see a need for reservations at all. And I think they're saying, well, Disney requires a reservation. We don't. Come to us. We'll let everybody in even if you show up on the day of. And just there's plenty other things that I do think are going to hurt Disney in the long run with this. This is kind of like a big chunk of what I wanted to talk about, but I'm running out of time. I gotta go. So I'm definitely going to do another live stream within the next couple of weeks or next week or so. Maybe not next weekend, although watch your notifications for that. I will definitely talk a little bit more. Follow my Instagram. I'll tend to bad at posting when I'm going to go live on Instagram. But yes, watch your notifications. Watch this page, watch Instagram. I'll try to maybe update you if I'm going to stream this weekend, but if not this weekend, definitely. Although next weekend's the 4th of July, isn't it? The following. So not this upcoming week is the 26th. The following weekend, that Saturday is the 3rd. So it's 4th of July weekend. I may or may not be streaming. I'll be streaming definitely once before early July. Maybe we do this once a month. Maybe do this every other week. But I definitely have a lot more to say on park passes and how they're not good for Disney parks. That'll be on the next time I see you guys on Saturday Morning Magic or off the rails or off the monorails. I like these morning shows. I also like the evening shows. There's a little bit of fun. Maybe I can get some of my friends to join me on here for an evening stream once in a while. So on that note, have a great day, and I hope to see you in infinity and beyond. Bye, everybody.